some groove and music. I wasn't really ready for that, Joel.
Me neither.
No, I saw your face. I saw a smile come across your face. That feels good. Yeah, welcome to a little No Bunts pregame here. I'm Tass, and with me, if you haven't seen this, man, Joel MacMillan was with us for a No Bunts episode in person in Atlanta, I guess last month. Last
month.
Yeah, it was September, and you know way more about baseball than I do, and I've been doing a couple No Bunts shows on my own here. So as we talked about when you were live in studio, you were going to come back on, even though you live on the other side of the world. You're in Taiwan right now. What time is it, by the way?
It's 7:01 a.m. Good morning.
Good morning. What time did you wake up to be on No Bunts, sir?
I set 3 alarms. I was so paranoid about. I set 3 alarms. I got up at like 6, around 6. Yeah.
Are you an early riser?
Yeah, not by choice, by age. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Because as I said, the last few No Bunts I've been on with JD, who is great at keeping it fun in the studio. But now we're getting it to it's World Series time here. We're 58 minutes away from Astros Phillies happening.
Yeah.
Probably an hour 5 before first pitch. Are you pumped? First, let's go back here, because we talked just before the playoffs. How have the playoffs been for Joel MacMillan?
We were talking about it before the show. I mean, you picked a good season to do this.
Yeah, I agree.
This is year 1 of this format, so
you mean the No Bunts show, or you mean this new
both?
Playoff format?
The
new playoff format. Playoff format. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's been super exciting. There's been a lot of great games. I like the added layer of the wild card round. The games have been exciting. You know, you take a look at, the crowds like in San Diego and Seattle, especially, like they haven't been in. I know they're no longer with us now, but, there's been a lot of exciting games. And also, Tass, I will say this, the games have been shorter, which has been good. They're not like these 4.5 hour plus games you would get at, I feel like in the early 2000s. So the games are quicker. It's just been an exciting playoffs all around.
Yeah, I guess they have been quicker. I was going to interrupt you like a jerk and say we've had an 18-inning game. We've had
okay.
Well, that doesn't count. But I mean, the 18-inning game was 6 hours and 23 minutes, which is really 2 baseball games. So 3 hours and 12 minutes. You're right. It has seemed shorter, but next year it's going to be even shorter with the pitch clocks, which I think is smart. But it has been a fun playoffs. And you mentioned the new format, people complaining that there's a little too much variance in these playoffs. There's just too many. It's too chaotic. Basically, the best teams don't win. Do you buy that narrative going around?
No, the best teams don't win. Houston was the 1 seed and they've gone 7-0. That doesn't really stand up to me. With the Phillies, I think there's some truth to that, but again, I feel that diminishes what they've done. I mean, they've gone on the road for 3 series. They've started all 3 series on the road. They knocked off the defending champs. They beat the Central champs with St. Louis, and they beat a very good San Diego team. So to sit there and say the best teams haven't won, well, then why are we here? That's why you have the playoffs. The best teams, do you just want it to be the number 1 team from each league and do away with the playoffs?
Give me the English Premier League. Yeah, no postseason.
Get out of here.
I know. You're right. It's there's not really a balance. I'm with you. I want a playoffs. I don't want I don't want my these Leicester upsets of Arsenal or whatever. I just want. Yeah, I want a little chaos in my postseason. I guess the people who complain are like, give us a 7-game series, 3 7-game series. It is kind of hard to do with the 162 game schedule, and that's probably not going away because we're already playing into November here. And like, if you lengthen the playoffs in any way to make it a little bit more fair for the favorite, so there's less of a chance, like the 3-game set where the underdog can win in more instances than a 7-game set. Anyways, it's been a freaking great playoffs.
Yeah,
like you said, the Astros have gone through. It was a ridiculously good series against the Mariners in the division series. That was a blast, and the Mariners could have won. The Mariners could have won those first couple games. So it's been great. Yeah, the Phillies are making a run. Are you just saying this because you're wearing a Phillies hat? I must ask, because I
had
never
to wear
thought
something.
You're a Jays hat. You're a Jays fan.
Tess, if I wore a Jays hat, this entire podcast would just be an hour of me crying and being, Joel, are you okay? I've still got PTSD from game 2. It's still too early to me to talk about that game. We'll talk about that next year.
So you had to wear something, so you decided.
I don't have an Astros hat, so I'm like, I'll wear the Phillies hat. I gotta represent.
Oh yeah, you just remind me. I used to have an Astros hat.
Which one?
So I don't know. There was that era where there was they're really boxy sort of hats, and there was like an outside layer that was almost like a mesh over top of the hat. And I'm not explaining it well, but like there was like tiny holes, so it sort of looked like a standard hat, but there was an extra layer that gave it like this cool look. But it was just a standard sort of star on this like black on black hat.
It was the star logo.
Yeah. I guess they don't use that anymore.
Well, I think they do. Like now, there's so many uniform combinations. I think that would be one of their retro ones. But I mean, traditionally, Houston's got some great uniforms, as does Philadelphia. The star one that I think the one you're talking about, they wore in the 2000s for a big chunk of time. Like compared to the other ones they have, that's the one I like the least. I like the colorful ones with the orange and yellow, and I think it's like a blue with the star. I like that one.
Will he come back? Oh, we're both frozen. Oh, that was probably me, Joel. I see you now.
Okay,
that was probably me. My Wi-Fi is a little unstable. Anyways, you were talking about the orange and the yellow. I think that's me. I think that's my connection. I don't know if you're seeing. If I can show you my node. This is my it's flashing red.
Okay.
So my Wi-Fi. I'm trying to plug in. I'm trying to be a good podcaster, streamer. Trying to have a stable connection.
Okay.
For some reason, this is going. Anyways, we're all good.
Okay.
Anyways, the Phillies. For all those who don't know, they're a 6th seed. They were not talked about really whatsoever going into the NL playoffs because of the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Mets, 300-win teams.
Yeah.
And it feels like the Astros have a lot of pressure on them because they're playing this team with nothing to lose in a way, and for other reasons. Do you feel that about the Astros? Like they're the ones with more pressure than the Phillies?
That's an excellent question. I do, because I think Houston, they were never going to come out and say it, but there's always going to be that narrative from 2017. And I don't want to get into that because I'll, how I feel about that. But
I feel like they didn't cheat. Well, that's okay. You can say it.
Well,
you don't have to get into it.
No, I don't agree with what they did. I don't think I think it had little to no impact on their success. I think they're a really good team. I think the results they've had since 2017 have kind of bore that out. It's annoying to still hear like the trash can jokes. Like they stopped being funny 5.5 years ago. Please stop making them. But I think if they win this World Series, it puts to bed any doubt, people can still make their jokes and stuff, but they're legitimately one of the best baseball teams in recent memory. I know they only have one World Series and, it's tainted, whatever, but their success, you can't deny that. So I think if they win this, it goes a long way in putting to bed, those narratives of they cheated, they're only good because they cheated, etc. They've turned over significant parts of that roster, like Correa left, Garrett Cole left, Carlos Correa left, and they're better. Like they just keep losing pieces and then plugging them in with homegrown talent. I don't I have nothing but respect for that organization.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that label would be shed if
Mhm.
they win this thing. Yeah, for those who don't remember, yeah, they won in 2017 as the air quotes cheaters. They've been to
Yeah.
3 World Series overall, but in this era, but they've only won the one. And as you said, yeah, the team is entirely different. And yeah, they're the heavy favorite. Is there what's the roadmap here for the Phillies to win this thing? Because it feels like the Astros are better everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
even if it's slightly with their um, in some areas, they're
Mhm.
deeper and they're better. And a wise man once told me the playoffs are about the bullpens, and as you told me, and they
Yeah.
definitely have that going for them. So if I'm a Phillies fan, as I see a lot of people and amongst the bleacher creatures we've got people saying,
Mhm.
are they the 94, 95 Rockets, a lower seed to come out and win it? What do you think, Joel? What's the roadmap for these Phils to do it?
Philly they have to have the lead in the late innings. Like
That's good. If you're going to win, that's a good idea.
no, but I mean, like, they cannot. It's a hard bullpen to score on, So I feel like Philadelphia, if they're kind of down by the sixth or seventh inning, it's tough because you've watched Houston. I mean, they just like next guy up. It's hard to score on Houston's bullpen. So, but that being said, in these playoffs, like Philadelphia has been able to score runs late, against some other tough bullpens as well. So it will be unique to see, but yeah, I think like Houston just has that excellent bullpen, and Philadelphia is going to be able to have to get to it. I mean, Tass, you said it. Like Houston, I feel, in my opinion, like on paper, is better in every facet over Philadelphia. It's no disrespect to the Phillies; they have a great team. I feel like in a way it is. I don't want to say it's David versus Goliath, but because it's not, but you know, Houston is doing what we expected them to do. Philadelphia, in my mind, is a true Cinderella team. Like they backed into the playoffs. They were the sixth seed. It's gonna be tough for them. But Tass, if there's one thing that this playoffs has shown me is it's expect the unexpected. It's
Mhm.
easy to sit here and say Houston is gonna run away with this, but Philadelphia has had an amazing run. They've been playing excellent baseball. So like who knows?
Yeah, it's a funny thing with baseball because as experts, talking, they have to say something. You kind of have to say, yeah, you have to give your opinion on who the better team is. And the
Mhm.
Astros, they were all season long. But sort of like the Braves last year, winning 88 games, and they go do it. The Phillies are in a similar boat,
Mhm.
uh, winning 88 games or 87 games this season. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, they I guess that the fun part for me is the sort of the through line with the Astros, like tying it together with the World Series losses that they have. Not that I'm
Mhm.
I'm I'm hoping that they lose, but the fact that they lost to two other NL East teams
Yeah.
that weren't powerhouses uh,
Mhm.
in the Nationals in 2019, and who's the other one I'm
The
forgetting now?
Taz, the
Last year.
Braves.
Jeez, obviously
Come
the 80.
on.
Yeah, we were there. But yeah, here they come. And if they want to shed that label, yeah,
Mhm.
it's like anything can happen.
Right.
Obviously, the weird. I heard this weird stat. I know you love your stats
I do.
on the Athletic MLB show about Justin Verlander, who has obviously a Hall of Famer and has had a really
Mhm.
really good postseason career. Like he's pitched in so many innings. Do you know what the stat is or what the
I think I know where you're going with this.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's not the greatest World Series pitcher,
Oh.
and he's got good numbers in championship series, but I think he's 0-4, and I think he's got an ERA over 7 in World Series games. Like he's not great.
No, yeah. It's actually 0-6 in
Oh,
7 World Series
oh,
starts
okay. Sorry.
and a
Thanks.
5.68 ERA. But But in championship series, division series, he's been phenomenal. So that
Mhm.
overall in the playoffs, he's been basically comparable to his regular season career.
Yeah.
But anything can happen. I was just talking about the 92 Blue Jays, what made me fall in love with baseball. Jack Morris got hammered in that series twice.
Oh, yeah,
He was
did.
0-3 in that playoffs, game 1 and game 5. I guess he got the start. Yeah, and he was smacked around. It happens, but that all comes back to we're going to be watching game 1, and absolutely anything can happen in a series. So yeah, 4 out of 7. It is 2-3-2 for, and I wonder who that. I mean, obviously the Astros have 4 of 7 games at home, but you can get some momentum going back home to Philadelphia, I think.
Yeah, you got it. Like Philadelphia has to. I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, I think at a minimum they got to get a split. Like the way, like the 2-3-2 formatted, I look at, like if you're like Philadelphia, you basically got to get 2 splits on the road, and then you got to win 2 at home. Obviously, that's a lot easier said than done. I don't see why Philadelphia can't do it. Like the smart money's on Houston, but if Philly can get a split, then it's a best of 5.
So why should people joining us here on the stream team and the Bleacher Creatures, why should they cheer for the Astros? Is there
Tass, wow. Here comes the internet scorn. Why should people cheer for Houston?
Yes, they're like, because there's a lot of casual fans that watch this show. Totally understandable. Although I think we've made some hardcore baseball fans out there, but there's going to be some tuning in as like any sport, just tuning in for the final series or whatever, the final championship game. And here we are. Give a reason to root for one team or the other. Well, I mean, you can say it. You can give your Phillies perspective because.
Okay, I'll start with that one. I'm going to start with the easy one first.
Yeah,
I think
the Astros way harder. It's
yeah,
it's hard to find. Okay, so let's go with the Phillies, the underdog here.
The story for the Phillies, I mean, there's a couple reasons, like in terms of like narratives. We'll say, they're, like I said earlier, like they're a true Cinderella. The fans are so passionate. I think I saw a lot of videos last week from different angles of Harper hitting that home run in the 8th inning, and I mean, people were just having the time of their lives. They fired their manager in season, hired Canadian Rob Thompson to come in and right the ship. But I think a big thing too is, like, I love Bryce Harper. I used to not love him, but I've grown to really, really like him. To me, like, he's a true baseball superstar, and now he's on the biggest stage. I kind of feel like this is his coming out party. I mean, we've seen him do great in the regular season, but the teams he's been on in the postseason in Washington just kind of fell short, and a lot of heartbreaking losses as well. So I feel like this is kind of his coming out party. He was always a highly rated player. He was kind of the baseball version of LeBron in some ways. Like Sports Illustrated was talking about him at a young age. They've just had an amazing run. If they do this, they'll have won, because if they were in the wild card round, they'll have had to have won 2, 3, 7. They'll have had to have win over, I think it's like 14 playoff games. My math is horrible. I'm nervous. I'm on the spot.
No, you were there. Just 11, right?
2 in the wild card, 3 against Atlanta. 13, sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
And they'll have had to do the majority of this like playing on the road in October. Like, that's very difficult to do. So I think there's a lot of reasons to cheer for Philadelphia, and then just the obvious, like, they're not Houston. People still dislike Houston so much. It's hard for me to, like, why should I cheer for Houston?
Yeah.
Oh, Tass, you put me on the spot.
No, it's hard. It's hard. People here in the Bleacher Creatures, basically saying the same thing. And I've listened to podcasts. They're saying, as Troubleshoot Gaming is saying, Dusty is the only reason. Dusty,
yeah, that's
50 plus years as a manager and a player, hasn't won it, and apparently Dusty Baker invented the high five.
Really?
Yeah,
Invented the high five?
yeah. I'm not even joking. That is
Okay. I
it's
want you to send me information. I want to know more about that. He invented the
yeah.
high five.
Apparently, when he
Okay.
was playing on the Dodgers, I don't know. I don't know how this is a thing, but
Okay.
it was written about. Yeah, that's I don't know. It could. I don't know. It's like I'm watching A League of Their Own, the Amazon series. I
Oh
think
yeah,
it's
you were talking about that on the show last time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, waiting for season 2. I'm trying to think, like, okay, so that was, way before the high five was invented. Apparently, it was invented in the 70s. I'm trying to think if there are high fives in that. Like, nobody high five. Like, I just can't think of a sport
Yeah.
without high fives.
Yeah. It's hard to envision, but I mean, I don't know. I have to go back and look at the tape, but yeah. He invented the high five. Wow. Okay.
Anyway, yeah, I guess I don't know. I like Jose Altuve.
Yeah.
He's
I
like,
like listen, I like a lot of the players on Houston. I mean, and it has also I'm a big wrestling fan. Sometimes it's just fun to cheer for the bad guy, you know?
mm,
It's fun to cheer for the bad guy. But just from like a baseball standpoint and like I want to see Houston do this because like they're a great team and I want to see, I want to see how those great teams like, can they hold up, or do they crumble? Like you said, they're 1-2 in World Series appearances. Like I said, this will kind of cement their legacy. But in terms of like a casual fan, why should you cheer for Houston? Other than Dusty, and thank goodness for that comment. He saved my bacon there. But objectively, yeah, I can't really come up with a compelling reason.
mm. What if they're hardcore Verlander fans?
Well then, yeah, go Astros. I mean, the thing is like we talked about it a couple minutes ago. They've turned over like the key pieces that they've turned over are on other teams now. I mean, Altuve for some reason gets so much scorn. I don't get it. Um, he's a good dude, like
Yeah.
he's such a good. He was signing. There was a video of him earlier. Like he was signing autographs for kids in Yankee Stadium. I thought that was a nice touch.
Hmm.
He just seems like a good dude. I think in Houston's defense, I think they haven't really talked about it. They've just kind of let their actions speak for them, like on the field, and they've just, been kind of a baseball killing machine the last couple of years. They've just been successful.
I guess with Altuve, because he's one of the guys that has been there throughout the whole scandal, now still
Mhm.
there, and even before, even to me as a casual fan during that era,
Right.
he was sort of the face of it. Like, not the face, but
Yeah.
a pretty prominent figure. So I think that's why he's received a lot of the scorn, not necessarily because people think he was banging the trash cans. Sorry to bring that up again. I know you hate it, but yeah, he's kind of To me, if there's anyone else that you think of when you think about the scandal, you
Well,
tell me. But I think
Bregman was there. Like Bregman was there for the whole thing as well. I think, yeah, you make a good point. Like they were there. Like I said, a lot of the other guys have left or just don't play in MLB anymore. A couple guys retired, so they were just kind of the ones left holding the bag on it. I think a big thing too, though, Tess. Like now that I think about it, Altuve won the MVP the year that
mm,
they won the World Series, and that was a very, very close. And like Altuve and Judge were like almost identical statistically, and I think actually Judge was better than Altuve in some categories, but they ended up giving the MVP to Altuve that year. And I think that added kind of another layer to it, at least if you're kind of like a Yankees fan. But yeah, I mean, I think he's a good dude. He's a great baseball player,
yeah,
consistent. I like
and
watching him play.
and I guess people really liked him. I think that's Ziggy's point here in the stream team. It's a good one because people loved him. They feel a little bit more scorned. It's those that are closest to you that hurt you the most. Maybe that's what's happening right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he became the bad guy. I guess they didn't like him becoming the bad guy. Here's a bad guy right here. Jay Skeets
Yay!
enters the stream.
I'm a little taller than Altuve.
Cheers.
Oh,
How's it going, boys? Happy World
Cheers.
Series.
hey,
Welcome.
Happy World Series.
Thanks for having me. Just wanted to pop in. I was watching,
what's up?
was enjoying it. I was getting the
Okay.
breakdowns from
Thanks for
J
coming
Mac in a
down.
Phillies hat. You were wearing a Phillies hat in that photo.
I was, yeah.
You love wrestling, Joel, as you said, and so does Skeet.
Oh.
So this is the time. You just mentioned
Macho Mug.
the Macho Mug went
What happened?
down.
I just fell off the ledge. Just fell off the ledge. Bad placement and fell off.
So human error or cat error? Did a cat knock it off?
No, this was at my office. Yeah, this was at my office.
Wow,
So
you got the Macho Man mug at the office.
I know. Yeah, had to go to the number 2 in the rotation, my Gao Sheng mug. So yeah,
That's a nice mug. It looks cool.
That was your
Devastating.
favorite. Your favorite mug went down. I didn't like when Macho Man went evil. There was a time, right, when he was.
He was
heel
so
for a
good
long
as a
time.
bad guy. He was a
Yeah.
great bad guy.
Yeah, he's a better good guy though. I think.
Oh, for sure. He's versatile. He's got range.
Yeah.
I
Rest
mean,
in
he
peace.
wasn't. He wasn't. Randy Pluff. What was his real name? He was
Yeah,
a ball
something-
player too. Right?
Randy Poffo. Yeah, he played.
Poffo.
He was in the Reds organization for a couple of years.
What? Really?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he
drafted,
was
right?
a legit. He was drafted by them. He played minor league baseball for a couple of years.
Wow. I was just gonna ask, like, which wrestler would make the best baseball player? So maybe that's the answer. But if it's not him, Joel, who would you go with?
You mean current day or all time?
Yeah, let's go current day WWE superstar.
Oh,
Who would be the best
man.
baseball player?
Oh, Phil jumping in and asking me these. I don't know. I'm gonna say Seth Rollins. He just seems super athletic.
Yeah, I could see him as a utility man for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Good
just
answer.
very versatile and athletic. Yeah.
Amazing.
Randy Poffo. Wow,
Yeah.
going way back, way back, way back. All right, so yeah, it's. Let me ask Skeet, since you're here.
Yeah.
Is because we just talked about casual fans that could jump on one of these teams' bandwagons.
Right.
Is there a team that you're cheering for?
Well,
in this
don't I
rotation?
have to? I mean, I heard you guys talking. I think Joel was talking about Philly being really a Cinderella here, and the Astros just being like this juggernaut and like sort of expected to be at this point in the World Series. Like, it has to be Philly, right? Like, I have no allegiance, obviously, to either city or team, but I
Feels
think I'll
like
be
it.
cheering for the Phillies to, keep it close, to win a couple games, to win one of these first two games, to then make things really interesting. I think that has to be the way, right?
Yeah. And it's kind of fun to cheer against the bad guy, even if you don't think they're the bad guy.
Yeah, but are the Astros the bad guy? I mean,
Oh, thank you, Phil, for saying it out loud, because I don't think they are, but thank you for
I
questioning.
guess people think that because of the old banging on the old trash cans for sure.
Right.
But I know our buddy Grish does, and you guys get into a
No.
WhatsApp argument every third day, it feels like. About it.
I'm sorry.
No, hey, you're passionate about it. I like it. Yeah, but I'll cheer for I do have a question because I don't know a ton about baseball, as everybody knows. Like, how do people feel about Bryce Harper? Because I know he's like kicking ass right now. Like, is he someone I should be actively cheering for? Is he a dick? Like, where the Bryce Harper? What's going on, Tass or Joel, with him?
Tass,
Go
do you
ahead,
wanna-
Joel. This is your man.
Harper definitely had the reputation of being a D word, as you alluded to. He got ejected. I feel like he was just immature. Like he's a very competitive dude. But he got ejected from a lot of games, like arguing balls and strikes. Now,
So like a little bit of a prima donna. This people thought like he was cooler than he was, or like.
Yeah, he's always been uber talented. Like he won an MVP in Washington. He had an insane season. Like he's always been talented. He's been talked about. I was talking about with Tass earlier. He was on Sports Illustrated, I think, when he was like a teenager, #1 pick, I think. Just kind of like has always been good his whole life. And then, but when he went to Philly, I feel like all that stopped. And he's kind of become, like a different player, like in terms of like the way he carries himself on the field. I love Harper because he's a passionate dude. And I liked Harper because the Batista bat flip, going back 7 years ago, Harper was one of the first guys to come out and say, our game needs that. I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, our game needs emotion. Like that's what makes our game good. He was one of the first guys to be like, kind of on that. And now, like, look at the emotion in the game. The game is so much more exciting and dramatic, like, because of that. And so Harper's kind of one of the guys that was very vocal about that. But in terms of like what he's doing on the field, I mean, he's having a monster postseason and he's a superstar. Like, he's an actual bona fide superstar. So it's good to see him doing well.
Yeah, and that was an all-time moment. A comeback from behind, home run to win the NLCS.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard not to cheer for him now. I guess I didn't go through his backstory like a lot of fans out there. A lot of people agreeing with you, Joel, that he is sort of LeBron-like. Like he was, this prominent.
Like he was like a high school
player.
Like everybody was like, this guy's going to be an incredible.
He was on SI.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
And yeah, so he left. He was with the Nats, and he left before they won the World Series in 2019. So this is his first World Series appearance. And so, for me coming in now, it's I think a little easier to like him than people who followed him for a long time. But I'm with him. I enjoyed that moment. I enjoyed the locker room, the celebration, the Budweisers all over him.
Yeah,
it was a pretty good time.
He feels like a real baseball guy.
Oh yeah,
that guy. Like you just look at him, and that guy's like, that guy plays baseball.
That guy plays baseball. Yeah.
Okay, I got a question for you guys. What's the biggest weakness for each team here in the World Series?
Ooh.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, Tass, have at it if you got it. Joel, you're like you are a bit of a baseball expert. What's the biggest weakness for both of the Astros and the Phillies?
Tass, do you want to go first, or?
I mean, I think it's the Phillies pen, really.
Okay,
that's my answer too.
Yeah.
Okay. So
their
starters are solid, but once they get to the pen, that's where they can get rocked.
They only have a couple guys. They have a couple guys at the back of the pen that are Alvarado, Sir Anthony Dominguez.
Syndergaard's in the bullpen too.
I know
he used to be a good arm. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like that being said, Philadelphia's bullpen, like their bullpen was not great in the regular season, but they pitched phenomenal in the playoffs. This is very reminiscent, actually, of the 2019 Nationals. The 2019 Nats had like not a great bullpen, but just like they locked it down at the right time in the playoffs and they ended up winning the World Series. So, anything can happen in 7 games, but I'm with you. If Philly's got a weakness, it's their bullpen. Houston, Phil, that's a tough one. I look at
Phil?
this.
You got to drink when you say
sorry, Skeets.
You got Phillies on your mind. I love it. You got Phillies on your head. Yeah.
It's hard to pick out a weakness. I mean, their starting pitching's good. Their offense is good 1 through 9. Their bullpen is unreal. It's hard. Like Skeets, I'm going to be honest. It's hard to objectively make a case that Houston's got a weakness. They're 7-0.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that like if they were okay? Let's just say hypothetically, they are to sweep the World Series here. So that's 11 straight victories. That's never been done just in sheer number of games, right? That's how no one's ever done that, right?
No one's ever run the table.
No one's ever run the table. No one's ever gone undefeated in the postseason.
And what? Not that I can remember.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, maybe not.
Baseball.
I'd have to go back and
look. Yeah.
Before the division series was implemented, like a team didn't go 8-0, like in a championship series and a World Series. I imagine.
I can't think of a team.
I'll look it up.
Going undefeated. Yeah.
But yeah, the Astros are. It's hard to poke holes. I guess what they do is kind of lines up pretty well with the Phillies. Like the Phillies, great starters in Nola and Wheeler to start off this series. But the Astros are going to try and walk, try and take pitches. I imagine, try and get in the pen.
Sure.
And we'll see what happens. Like I have a tough time cheering for the Phillies because I watched Game 1 of the division series in person. The Phillies came and played the Braves, and they were able to squeak out a win. They won 7-6, but it didn't feel good. I mean, the Braves were off. Jose Alvarado, their setup man in the 8th, said, "Oh, the mound is soft. Come out here and fix the mound for 15 minutes." while the crowd got antsy. Everyone hated him.
Is that really what happened? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're up, so they're probably going to win anyway. But yeah, 15-minute delay. Nobody likes that.
No.
Nobody likes that.
Oh, I've got some answers, by the way.
Okay.
So you guys are right. No team in MLB history has gone undefeated in the postseason during the wild card era, which makes sense. That's a lot of games. But I think that the Astros here this year are chasing the 76 Cincinnati Reds undefeated postseason record.
Oh, is that Pete Rose? Doesn't count.
76? That's got to be back then.
Pete Rose. Yeah. Joe Morgan, Johnny Bench.
Right. So I believe, and I'm the Big Red Machine, right? Yeah. They went, they swept the Phillies in the then best of 5 National League Championship Series, and they followed it up by taking all 4 World Series games from the Yankees. So they just won. They won 7 games. That's all they had to do in 76. But undefeated is undefeated. So there you go.
Undefeated is undefeated, but I mean, just in terms of like Houston will have to win more games, which I think will make it more impressive. Yeah, like what Cincinnati did, amazing. Yeah, that would be crazy if Houston were to do that.
What Cincinnati did, amazing. I had no idea that they had done it 5 minutes ago. That was amazing.
That's true.
Okay. Because I told Tass before I wanted, and like Skeets, I'm glad you're here. Can I ask you guys a question? Okay.
Oh yeah, you can.
Okay.
Hey man, this is the World Series pregame stream on No Dunks. You can do whatever you want. No bunts.
Okay.
Yeah, go up.
Out of the 4 major sports in North America, would you say that, and I'm not saying best, but would you say that postseason baseball is the most exciting postseason sport to watch?
I mean, okay. I know where you're going with this, because on one hand, the answer is absolutely yes, in the sense that the every pitch matters, the drama of baseball, actually how sort of the speed of baseball plays into the drama, plays into the stakes being high. There's the pause of between every pitch. There's all that. So on one hand, yes, but then just as equal, the slowness of it, the pace of it. I mean, the length of a game, that almost goes against it as well. And in the end, I don't enjoy watching the sport of baseball as much as I like watching other sports.
Right.
But look, there's something to it. I agree. I'm a perfect example. I think there's a lot of people like me that don't really give a shit about the regular season.
Right.
A postseason game's on, I'm into it. I'm
right.
Stakes are high, of course. That's the postseason. They should be, but there is that. It's like makes for great TV drama.
Yes.
Of hanging on every pitch. So yeah, I see that. But in the end, it's baseball, which I don't love as much as, of course, basketball. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm skirting around answering that, but that's my thoughts on it. Tass, what do you think?
I think I'll throw a curveball. It's hard to say that it's anything but basketball for me, but baseball is, in a weird way, it's like hockey. I think hockey is the same in that anything can turn on, any dump of a puck, hockey's
like soccer that way, honestly. It's like that one goal, that one play can happen out of nowhere and be instrumental in a victory or something.
Yeah, it is like soccer in that it can be 3-zip and the rest of the game kind of is as not as entertaining as a basketball game where a team can come back. But yeah, I mean, the thing about playoff hockey is that it's so fast. Like you can, it's literally the fastest game on the planet with guys moving so quickly.
You hold your breath almost during a hockey game. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're invested in the team or in the result for 60 minutes, I mean, in 20-minute increments, you are literally just like holding your breath of like, because it's just end-to-end action. And then there's an intermission, and then we do it all over again. But that's like the complete opposite of baseball is like a pitch, and then it's like and then it's like this like 15-second buildup. Here we go again. It's like that part.
The roller coaster.
The roller coaster is cool. The one thing I hate about baseball is, just as a casual fan, hate when a team's up 5-0, 6-0. It's tough for me not to pull a Dave Grisham and go, it's over. Like it's so tough to come back You know what I mean? In baseball, it feels like
I
you can be down 20 in basketball, you can come back.
It's changed this postseason. There's been a couple examples of teams coming back.
Our
Toronto Blue Jays.
Skeets, you remember the Jays game? Yeah.
The Cardinals, Phillies.
You texted me. You're like, Joel, this is on you. This is your fault. And I was like, I don't want to hear that right now. I was shell shocked. And
that's a good point. That's a good point. They were up massive. It has happened, but it just I don't know. It feels so instrumental, like to rack up, 6 or 7 runs in the 7th inning. You're like, they got possibly 9 outs to make this work. And you're right, it happens. But man, it's so much easier to come back from 15 in a basketball game.
But that's like, but then you could make the case that like when it does, like what Seattle did, like was so amazing. Like they'll that's a classic playoff game. Like that will. My counterpoint to all of that, you guys being the basketball guys, is that I'm a casual basketball fan. I'll watch the playoffs. The end of a basketball game is anticlimactic. Like when the Raptors won, it was just kind of like, I wanted to celebrate, and there were these timeouts, and you foul a guy, and I like basketball, but the pace is quicker, but I feel like it's less climactic in the final moments.
Yeah, but that's because one is a timed sport. There's X amount of time who has the most points, and baseball is not that, right?
Yeah,
which makes absolutely. Yeah. But I'm talking about from just a general, like I'm consuming this product as a fan, and that's my only criticism really against basketball, because you're right, like baseball's more slow and plodding, but like it's a consistent kind of pace, whereas like basketball and football, for that matter, like are very fast at parts, and then there's just so many breaks near the end. It's hard to kind of like maintain that energy level, like as a fan. I don't know. Does that make sense?
No, it does. I mean,
you wanted to celebrate. You wanted to celebrate the 2019 championship. I get it, but you can't compare. Like there's 45 minutes of basketball time that's really fast compared to a baseball game where it's really slow. I mean, you're complaining about at the end, and that's a problem, and they're working on it. They've made a nice little adjustment this last season here, not allowing for video reviews of balls out of bounds. Speed, you can't compare. You can't compare baseball. At the end, we all wanted the Raptors to hoist the trophy. And the Warriors were doing everything in their power to prolong the game with fouls and
that's the issue.
That's
timeouts. They're doing what they could. Hey man, we watched Buck Showalter and the Mets come out and challenge a guy's tacky ears, shiny ears. It was the 6th inning, and they said, "Hey Musgrove, your ears are shiny. You must be putting tack on your ears or your hat."
I remember that.
And I just talked about Alvarado. Mound check, 15 minutes to look at the mound in a playoff game. But there have been some big comebacks this year. I think more than I agree with Skeets. I mean, you're right. A team goes up 5-0. It's the 4th inning.
Yeah, you're like,
it's like the game's over.
Yeah, it feels like it.
But we've had the Mariners came back on the Jays. The Phillies had that 6-run 9th against the Cardinals, right?
Well, then last game, what was it? Like Phillies were down 4-0 in the 1st inning against San Diego, and they ended up coming back, and like that was a crazy game. So, I mean, you're right. Like statistically speaking, like from just looking at probabilities, you're right. But at the same time, like it's not a foregone conclusion that team's going to win. And when it does happen, it just makes it like so much more exciting, and you'll talk about that game, for quite a long time.
Was this a year for? I feel like I know the answer, but was this a year for pitching or hitting overall in the MLB?
Ooh,
like in comparison to the last, 5-10 years, like where are we on the spectrum? Like it's tough to score runs, or it's like super easy right now to score runs. I feel like it was a pitcher sort of like.
That's a good question. Well, home runs were down. I don't know the stat, but home runs were down considerably from years prior. I feel like they always adjust the ball. Like MLB will never come out, I think, and say it, but I think they do things to the. Well, I mean, Judge broke the record, but like overall home runs were way down. Was it a year for hitting and pitching? I'm gonna just say pitching, because I feel like home runs were down more. I feel like that's not a great answer because I don't have the numbers in front of me. I need to take a look, but they're getting rid of the shift next year.
Yeah.
There's no more shifts, so that should theoretically lead to more offense. But that being said, scoring's actually gone up like since the shift has been employed because more guys are trying to drive the ball, and hit it like on an angle, which leads to obviously like more runs versus like guys hitting it on the ground and yada yada. So yeah, it's a good question.
Well, it's never been harder to hit though, right? Because pitchers have evolved and are throwing harder than ever.
Throwing harder.
There's so many more guys throwing over 100 miles per hour. They're hulking up. And the fact that pitchers, they're getting smarter about how long they're pitching pitchers, how long they go. So yeah, runs are still there, but there's less doubles and triples. It's the whole true outcome thing where you're swinging for the fences, baby. It's either a homer, a walk, or a strikeout. So strikeouts are are the highest they've ever been. But yeah, runs are still there, but they're all dingers. So the shift should help that. It's definitely in response to the pitching. It's definitely in response to. So there should be guys going, up the middle a little bit more and less of this just swinging for the fences thing. Even though, it is weird. The ball changing every year. How is that a thing? Like Judge hit 62 and Schwarber, who's the leadoff hitter for the Phillies, which is wild to me. He doesn't look fast, but he's out there with that monstrous beard, and he hit 46 dingers. He was the second highest. That's a huge gap between number one and number two. So what Judge did was pretty special. They're trying to deal with this pitching thing. Guys are controlling the game way too much on the mound. It's time to give the hitters a little power in this. Get rid of these four infielders on one side, which is going to change next year.
I've heard you say you don't like it. You want to go back to the no shift. I love the idea of like, especially in a World Series game, like it could happen tonight for all we know. Like the manager's got to decide, like your starting pitcher, let's say, is just rolling, like is doing really well, but the pitch count's getting up there, and it's got to be like, I don't know, it's just got to be such a tough decision where it's like this guy is controlling the game. Should we go with him for another inning or two? Or like the numbers say they've seen him a couple times. His arm power is going to like go down. I think that's got to be one of the most like nerve-wracking or most difficult decisions to make. Because on one hand, you're like, go by the book. They've seen him now. They understand his timing, all that. But like on the other hand, it's like sports is weird that way. He's like, he's got it going tonight. Like why mess with a thing that's working? But I mean, I guess that's why they're paid the big bucks. Try and get
Well, Nolan Wheeler will go more innings, right, Joel? If the Phillies' first two starters in this series, because the Phillies' middle relief is slightly questionable. Like they'll pitch more if there's the choice. Like they don't want it. Getting into the nitty gritty of baseball, they don't want their relievers to see the Astros hitters twice, right? They'd rather say, hey, an extra at bat could be the third at bat against Yordan Alvarez instead of two at bats against the reliever. I mean, that's how they think of it, right?
I will say this, and I'm glad Skeets you brought that up, because every year analytics are always under fire, and it's definitely like in the postseason, and it's definitely been at the forefront of this. Listen, like you guys both know, I'm an analytics guy, but analytics, again, like it's said time and time again, they should be used to help you make a decision. They shouldn't be making the decisions. Like that's the thing. And I feel like certain teams go 100% by the analytics, and it's come back to bite them in the ass at the worst times. It's one thing to piss away a game in May, but like when you're in October, you can't afford to do that. And I feel, that's been on display at times. And again, like I'm guessing, but there's been very questionable decisions made, like the Blue Jays game. Why did you take Gossman out? This is the guy, like he's your ace. You spend hundreds of $1 million to get him for this. And and same with Garrett Cole last week. It was 2-0. The game 3, they had to win. This is your guy. You live with him or you die with him.
I
And
agree.
he like you have to play him there. But they went to the bullpen, they lost the game. The Jays brought in Mesa, he gave up a grand slam. Again, like those are two situations, but you're like analytics, but also your eye test. Like Phil, like you or Skeets, that you said, if a guy's rolling, why take him
That's right.
out? You
Yeah.
know, why take him out? Like you get these guys for a reason. And it's frustrating. And I'm a numbers guy, but like your eyes don't lie, you know. So I don't know. It's
I'm happy to hear that, but I have a theory about that. It's when you just always can lean on the analytics, say this, then you're never sort of like you're not that you're never wrong, but you're always like, but that's what the numbers say. So it's like it's not me. This is what it said. This wasn't, we're just playing by the book. It's like when you're playing blackjack, Tass, I've played with you many a times. Of course, there's the probability of what you should do on every combination and what the dealer is showing. Sometimes though, you're just like, I'm feeling it. Like taking a look at the table, whoever's playing, I'm hitting on whatever, even though I probably percentage wise shouldn't. But that's not like that. Like if you always do that, it's not as fun, first off. And it's like, maybe that's not even a great comparison because those are just cards. These are athletes. Joel, you said it. Like these are why you pay them the millions of dollars to go kick ass and like go take down another 3 outs. Like I think they go a little overboard with that, but I think it's like an easy way out. They're just like, well, that's what the numbers say. So that's what we did. I mean, hey, they can't blame us. And it's like, well, go with the guy that's like rolling, man. This is one-on-one. Like he's kicking ass. Stick with
and also too, like playing matchups. I get the numbers say this, but teams have played matchups. The Mariners played matchups, and Alvarez hit a home run that hasn't landed yet. Against Seattle that won them the game. Jays did it with Mays. They played lefty on lefty, got burned. It's like just use your eyes. I feel like a lot of that goes out the window in October. It's just kind of like you have to execute at that point. Analytics are there obviously to help you, but at the end of the day, you have to execute. And that's another thing. If you want to go matchups, but if a guy hangs a meatball, like if you can't execute your pitches, then what good are the analytics?
Right.
All right. Well, don't do analytics on this. Apparently here in the stream team, the Bleacher Creatures have Googled that Dusty Baker definitely did invent the high five, but don't actually go try and figure it out.
I know.
It's true. The guy, you're going to watch the game tonight. The guy managing the Astros, who's got a toothpick in his mouth, who's been in baseball for 50 years, apparently invented the high five 50 years ago. It sounds like just lore, just baloney.
I like to believe it. I like to know that, or like to pretend at least that a guy named Dusty Baker invented the iPhone. That's good. That's good. I'm in on it. I don't mind it.
So he was a player with the Dodgers, and he just.
So what was happening before? Just handshakes and pats and like nothing.
Pats, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. Like I was saying, I'm watching A League of Their Own, an Amazon series, the rise of the women's league, obviously during the war, and I'm trying to think, like, were they high fiving? Before? I guess not. I mean, there was some butt taps with bats, I guess, but not really any high fives. I guess it was a true documentary.
I just feel like in the history of humanity, you mean to tell me that no one like randomly just like did that in like 1857? I feel like that's not a hard thing,
No, but maybe he popularized it. Like,
okay, maybe he popularized it, but to say,
two people have hit hands before.
Two people have touched hands in history.
It's hard.
Like
it's hard. I mean,
a celebratory sports congratulatory thing. I mean,
in the 50s or the 60s,
we're doing this.
Yeah,
and people are like, he did it the first time. We're like, what is that? And he's like, man, I'm pumped for you. And he's like, all right, let's keep doing it.
Yeah.
All right, Dusty.
Well, let me throw this out here before we get to predictions real quick, because you said Bryce Harper is a baseball high school phenom. Right. And I was trying to think of another one. Ziggy with me here. He said he's the only one that he can remember as being a baseball high school phenom. Is there another one, Joel? Like it just doesn't really happen.
I remember a number one card I used to have. Okay, I'm probably gonna butcher his name. Tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like the Oakland Athletics drafted Todd Poppleton.
Oh, Todd Van Poppel? I think it was
Todd
a
Van Poppel. Is that what it was?
I think it was a Van Poppel.
You're right. I was thinking
Van
about
Poppel. Wasn't he a number one pick?
Oh,
I'm pretty sure
I can't.
That's
Card,
I think.
I don't know. Wow. I don't know if he had the hype of a Bryce Harper. He
looks a little bit like Rob Gronkowski, you got to say. He was drafted 14th.
Oh,
yeah.
But Todd Van Poppel. I was thinking Chris Poppleton that we worked with.
I was gonna say now this was like way before. Like there was obviously a lot less media at that point, but Ken Griffey Jr. had a lot of hype coming up.
Oh yeah,
and he was. I think he came up as a teenager, or because he played with his dad. I think he was like 18 or 19. I think he was 19 when he made his debut. Yeah. And I think Harper was 18 or 19 as well.
Yeah.
To answer that
question, Ken Griffey was the first pick. So there you go.
Yeah, and I think Harper was as well, if I'm not mistaken.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's probably the best one.
Todd Van Poppel, man. I thought that card was worth something. He was only the 14th pick. Shit. I put thousands of dollars into Todd Van Poppel.
Put it in a protective hard plastic case.
Yeah. Not the flimsy one.
No, you gotta protect those. Hard case.
Yeah,
screw case. You're going all
Screw
out.
case. Thousands of dollars in the. I bought them all from that the card shop in between A&P and Kmart in Stratford.
Great thread. Great thread.
The old mall, like to call it. Oh, yep. God, I'm fucked. I have so much money in Van Poppel.
Oh, man.
I mean, I'm ruined.
That's tough, man. I think of I think Andy Van Slyke when I hear a Van way back. That's Phillies outfielder.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he was sad, man, when I think they got beat by the Braves in 92.
Who is your favorite baseball player of all time?
Oh man, you're asking big questions here with 2 minutes left on the stream.
This is why I come in here, man. I swing for the fences, Tass. I'm either hitting dingers or it's crickets, and it's
go, Joel. Answer this one before we get going.
Okay, I'm gonna answer this in three. I'm gonna go all time Blue Jay, and then I'm go current. All time Ken Griffey Jr.
Griffey Jr. Okay.
My age. I grew up. He's the guy I watched growing. Well, if you ask, he's the guy that when we were kids growing up, he's the guy we watched.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm gonna say Griffey.
I have a rookie card to sell you.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as all timer as a kid, definitely Griffey Jr.
Okay.
Favorite Blue Jay. Jose Batista, I love him. I know it's probably a controversial pick. And then currently right now, I gotta say Bryce. I gotta say he's a star, he's exciting to watch, he's a passionate dude. I just Harper or Machado are my two favorite to watch.
It's interesting with Bryce because will he ever be a position player again? Because I don't know. I like my players playing both sides of the ball. He's
got a hurt elbow right now. He can't he can't play in the field.
It's a great story. The guy can't throw a ball, but he can rock a ball. It is a great story. He can literally just step in the box. He literally can't play on the field. So that's pretty neat. Wow, what he's doing. So yeah, I think he's a guy that people can get. You probably love him or you hate him. But you can get behind him as the underdog team. And then when the series goes to Philly in a few days, it'll be rocking there. So give me, before you go, we'll probably have you on again, if that's cool with you. We talked about it either during the series or right after the series to wrap it up and talk about it. Are you
going to it's super early. You're in Taiwan, Joel. You're going to watch this game, or you got to go to work, or you're going to tape it? What's going to go on here?
I'm gonna tape it. Yeah. I told Maggie to hit. Don't tape over perfect strangers, Maggie. No, I'm gonna go grab breakfast, and then I'm gonna go home and hang out with the 5 cats because we don't let them out until around 10 a.m. And yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
Okay. You're
Why,
gonna watch it live. Nice.
Why don't they like getting out before 10, or why don't you like letting them out before 10? What is the significance of 10 a.m.?
Cats
Maggie,
don't know time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they just like Maggie's sleeping. So they're very they'll be loud and bounding around. You know.
Oh, okay. So you lock them up. I get it.
Yeah.
All right. So who are you picking? Let's get a prediction.
Oh, I legitimately was. I walked home from my friends last night because I knew we were going to talk about this. I don't know. Like I'm going to say Houston. Put me on the record. Put it down. I'm going to say
games?
Houston. I'm going to say Houston in 6.
Okay.
That with the caveat that like I'll own all my picks have been horrible. Skeets, you know.
Oh yeah.
My picks have been absolutely
if Joel
horrible.
is saying Houston, I am putting everything I own. I'm gonna make all my money back.
Put
on
that
my
Van
Todd
Poppel
Van
money.
Poppel, losses because you have been wrong every time. Okay.
I'm gonna say Houston in 6 with the caveat that if Philadelphia wins, I will not be shocked at all because these playoffs have been so unpredictable. I don't care what anyone says. There's absolutely no one who picked Philadelphia to be in the World Series going in. There's no one who picked Philly. Houston, different story. Like I picked you. I said, on your show, Tass, like I said, Houston is the cream of the crop in the AL. But I will pick Houston in 6, but I won't be surprised if Philly does it. And this is the thing. I think there's an exciting narrative for both teams. I could care less who wins. I think there's great stories to come out of both of them if they win. So, yeah, Houston in 6, but go Phillies. I hope everyone has fun.
Yeah, they were definitely wrote off for dead at 21 and 29. They fired Girardi. So it's even different than the Braves last year, even though they have similar numbers and the Braves started poorly. They didn't fire their manager. They weren't as, in the gutter. And as you said, they've got a manager who's essentially from your hometown. Is he the same age as you? Are you cheering for him?
Doesn't
Rob
look
Thompson?
that much older. Shout outs to Sebringville, Ontario. That's where he makes his off-season home.
Oh, the water must be good. He's looking young. Who's your MVP before we go?
Of the playoffs?
No. Of the World Series.
Call your shot.
I mean, on the NL side, like you got to say Harper. On the AL side, probably Bregman, Lance Bregman.
They don't
Alex
give
Bregman.
They don't give a World Series MVP.
Yeah, they do.
Well, but you want me to pick my World Series MVP, but it hasn't been played yet. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's called a prediction.
Okay, if Houston wins, Bregman. If Philly wins, I'm gonna say Harper.
Okay.
Well,
So you're saying Bregman because you got the Astros winning in 6. I mean,
I agree. It's not as fun picking though. Well, I mean, you just didn't even fathom the possibility of predicting a World Series MVP. It's not as fun predicting a baseball MVP.
But anything can happen. I mean, remember in '92, Pat Borders won the MVP.
Well, yeah,
that was crazy.
Give me Chaz. Give me the Chaz chomp. Pick Chaz McCormick. pick somebody down the line. You can make millions if you.
So, Tess, what's your prediction for the World Series here? Let's hear it.
I'm going Stros.
Okay.
I don't think they cheated as bad as everybody makes it out to be. Everybody cheats. Maybe not as bad as that. So I kind of want them to shed the label, and they seem to be the better team. Although, obviously anything can happen, as Joel said, as we all know. So, I'm going Stros. What do you take it, Skeets? We got to know your pick before we go here.
I want to know.
Man. He's already called me by my government name. I'm going Phillies, baby.
Yes.
I'm like dead honest, like without knowing a whole lot. This is like you're saying, like this Cinderella run. This feels too good to be true. I think they're going to split here in Houston. That's the key thing. If they lose 2, I don't think they're coming back. They split here, feeling really good about it. So give me Phillies in 6. Actually, there you go.
Bold. I love it, Skeets. I love it.
Yeah, it seems to be the pick. If people are picking the Phillies, they're picking them in 6.
Yeah, tough to always go 7 with the I mean, I don't know. The road team. Whatever,
Yeah,
blah,
it's
blah,
not
blah.
as bad.
It's
but
sort of
yeah,
who cares, but 6 feels right. I think they split. They get to work back in Philadelphia where they'll be going bonkers for that team. So
yeah,
that's the
They'll
big
be
thing. Hopefully we
excited.
get some good games like you guys were talking about though, and I hope we avoid not too many blowouts or stuff like that, and just like get the drama late.
Yeah.
Well, we're minutes away. The national anthem's probably going, so let's go catch that right now.
Mhm.
Thank you, Skeets,
Gotta
for
take off
sitting
my
at
hat.
attention.
Hat
I
off.
gotta take off my
Jeez.
hat.
Yeah,
I gotta
take the hat off, please.
put it on here. Okay.
Well, we'll be back with you, Joel. Not a Schwarber bomb, not yet.
No.
Is it possible? So, Cole Ram it's 8:05. Kyle Schwarber would be the first hitter. Is it possible that Cole Ram just said Schwarber bomb in the
Has
stream?
the game even started?
It shouldn't have started. It's 8:06. It's the first. It's first pitch is
warm up.
supposed to be 8:07.
It's warm up.
Okay.
Okay, so we're not. Okay, all right. Schwarber bomb. Maybe he's predicting. I was worried. Maybe he's predicting Kyle Schwarber is the MVP.
Sure.
But Kyle Schwarber hits bombs.
He does.
This is a different game. The leadoff hitter's hitting bombs these days.
Oh, he's
46.
at bat though. He is at bat.
We gotta go.
Okay.
Joel, you're
All right,
coming
guys.
back later.
Joel, great to
You
see
know
you.
it. You
He's
too.
back Monday. Josh Primo was released by the San Antonio Spurs. What the hell is going on?
That's really weird.
That is really, really weird. So I'm sure we'll be back on Monday to talk about that. And Joel, you'll be back on No Bunts, sir. Thanks a lot for everybody for joining us. Enjoy the series.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
baseball. Cheers, guys.